Hey guys, how's it going? SliceablePaper here, and we're going to be taking a look at some new cards from the Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion. First card we're going to look at is Blackguard. It's a Paladin card, 6 mana, 3/9 epic. Whenever your hero is healed, deal that much damage to a random enemy minion. I think this is a really good card for Paladins in Constructed. It works with a lot of their healing cards, works with True Silver, Forbidden Healing, Lay on Hands, especially Forbidden Healing. Oh my goodness. Say you play this on turn 6, and the next turn you heal for 14, and you deal 14 damage to a random minion. That's great. Even Guardian of Kings, I think, works very well with this card. You play it on turn 6, plop down Guardian on turn 7, heal for 6, deal 6 to a random enemy minion. The big problem with this is it is a random minion, not a specific minion. So you're going to have to plan around that. You're going to have to do some trades into other cards in order for you to kind of specifically point this at a specific minion you want to get rid of. I think due to this card, you're going to see Heal Paladin kick off. You're going to see a lot of Paladins running more heals. And you're going to see a lot of longer games against Paladin because of it. I think this card is going to be very good in Arena if you've drafted hero healing cards. So let's say you've already drafted like your True Silver. Let's say you've managed to get a hold of a couple of Guardian of Kings. And maybe you hit Forbidden Healing or something like that. Then you pick this card. You don't pick it before that, because this is very low statted, very low attack for a 6-drop. Very low statted. Boulder Fist Ogre, you get, what is that? 13 worth of stats for 6 mana versus this, which is 12 worth of stats. So a little low statted for a 6-drop. Despicable Dreadlord. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. I don't think this is a very good card as a 5-drop. As a 4-drop, this card is insane, but as a 5-drop, it's got 2 weak stats, and by turn 5, the effect is going to be too weak for this card to be any good. And quite frankly, Warlock has much better cards to play even in the 4-drop for board clears. They have Hellfire, they have Fellfire, they have Dread Infernal 1 turn later. So I think this card is very, very bad in Constructed. In Arena, I think this card is going to be decent. I don't think it's going to be like super great, but I think people are going to find a way to fit it in. Mainly because the big problem with Warlock and the big problem with quite a few classes is it does not have a ping. This is another ping that Warlocks are going to be able to get with Mortal Coil and that other card that was just introduced this set that does 1 damage, and if it kills, it does more damage, or it gets cast again. So I think this card is decent. It's a small board clear, but it is a board clear. Thing to note: this is not a battle cry effect. It is an end of turn effect, and it's a continuing end of turn effect. So if this card remains on board for multiple turns, you're going to get super value out of it. But as it stands, I don't think it's very good as a 5-drop. As a 4-drop, it's insane. As a 5-drop, it's a little weak. Alright, Druid of the Swarm. Choose 1 Druid card, transform into a 1/2 with Poisonous, or a 1/5 with Taunt. I think this card is very, very good. It gives you answers against both aggro decks and against control decks. If you're playing against an aggro deck, you can choose the 1/5 Taunt and kind of slow the game down a little bit. And if you're playing against control, you can choose Poisonous and use it to help get rid of some of those big minions, those big scary minions that your opponent is going to be throwing down. The Taunt form also works with the new Druid Legendary Hadronox that brings back all your Taunt minions that died that game. Much like I think it's Druid of the Claw. Much like Druid of the Claw, this card will actually transform into a Taunt minion versus gaining a buff and Taunt. So it will come back with Hadronox. I I think this is a solid card in Arena. It's going to work well in both early and late game, helping to slow the game down in early game and helping to remove big threats in the late game. So I think it's a very solid card for Druid to pick in Arena. You're not going to see as many of these as you might think, considering that it is a rare, not a common, but you're going to see quite a few of these in Arena. And I believe you're going to be drafting it as well, because it's such a good card. Forge of Souls. Draw 2 weapons from your deck. Works in Pirate Warrior, works in Control Warrior, helps Pirate Warrior kind of draw their bursty kind of damage cards, go face, keep going face with that. Control Warrior, it helps them pull their Fiery War Axes, pull, even, say you're running Gorehowl, helps you pull Gorehowl. Again, it helps you more consistently draw into that instant damage as a Pirate Warrior. I think even if it draws you like 1 War Axe or even 2 War Axes, I think it's a decent card. This card is an interesting card to look at as far as Arena is concerned. If you don't have any weapons in your deck, don't pick this card at all. Like, if you haven't drafted weapons already, don't pick this card. It's a dead card in your hand if you don't have weapons. If you do have weapons, and if you haven't already played them, this card is insane. It draws you that instant damage, that way for you to remove cards off of the board, mainly because, again, Warrior is one of those classes, much like Warlock, that does not have a ping as a hero power, so they need a little extra help as far as like instant damage off board. And this card kind of helps facilitate that if you've already drafted some weapons. Happy Ghoul! Oh, isn't he happy? Cost 0 if your hero was healed this turn. Works off of Lifesteal, works off of the Priest hero power. This is an especially good fit for Priest, considering that Priest can heal themselves for 2 mana, so basically you're getting a 2 mana 3/3 in Priest. In Paladin, you'll want to play this with that Healy type Paladin that we were talking about before with Blackguard. I think this is going to help create like kind of a new Priest or Paladin archetype, including this in those healing type Paladin decks. In Arena, this card is excellent in Priest. It's not so good in any other deck. In Priest, this card is going to be insane. You're going to be able to tempo this out on turn 2. If you've already taken damage on turn 2, which you probably will have if you're playing against like Rogue and Druid and Mage, which against Rogue and Mage you'll likely be playing against them quite a bit. You can like you can heal yourself on turn 2 and play this, tempo out a good 2-drop, and be happy with that. Otherwise, you can kind of heal yourself anytime during game and play this out for 0 mana. It's great. This works especially well with Lifesteal cards. You played a Lifesteal card before, you hit an enemy, you heal yourself, and then you play this card for basically 0 mana. So if you've got a Lifesteal on the board, you played a 0 mana 3/3, which is incredible and a great tempo swing. So I think this card is very good. It's going to be excellent in Arena, in Priest. It's going to be okay in like Paladin, where you have Lifesteal cards, or if you drafted a card that heals yourself like True Silver, or like something else. So I think this card is very good. Snow Fury Giant. Shaman card. Costs 1 less for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game. So we see another giant in this expansion. Got that mana reduction effect like all giants have. So next we need to take a look at what overloads are likely to be run. You're going to run Lightning Bolts. You're going to run Jade Claws. You're going to run Feral Spirits. You're going to run Lightning Storms for board clears. You may even be running Flame Wreath Faceless to help get like a big minion out on turn 4. You might even see some shamans, if they're running this card, running Drakari Defender, that 2/8 with Taunt and an overload for 3. So, at best, you want to play this card at, 5 or less mana. I think, like, even at, you want to play this maybe at 3 mana or less. 5 mana is kind of the minimum of what I'd want to play this for. Less than that is just icing on the cake. And is that possible in Constructed? Yes, it's very possible to do that. In Arena, not so much. You need to have drafted at least 3 or 4, maybe even 5 overload cards before you even consider drafting this card. Other than that, you're going to be playing, at best, maybe a 10 mana 8/8, which is not very good. The mana cost is way too high for you to play this as like a vanilla card if you've overloaded like maybe 1 or 2 during the game. You need to have overloaded by at least 5 total throughout the game for this card to be considered good. So in Arena, this card is trash. Maybe it's good if you've drafted, overload cards, but not otherwise. Malfurion the Pestilent. Again, you get this kind of typical choose effect for druids. You're basically, when you play this, you're basically playing 2 Druid of the Swarms with 5 armor. So what are you getting for this? You're getting 4 mana of value for the Druid of the Swarm, plus, I estimate maybe 2 mana for that 5 armor. So you're basically getting 6 mana worth of value for 7 drops. So initially, this is kind of a weak card to be playing. The big thing is going to be that hero power. So what's the hero power? Plague Lord. Choose 1, plus 3 attack this turn, or gain 3 armor. So again, that choose 1 effect comes into play. It's basically like a weaker version of, what was it? Feral Rage that we got. Feral Rage giving you a plus 4 attack or a plus 8 armor for 4 mana. For 2 mana, you're getting a plus 3 attack or 3 armor. I'm sorry, Feral Rage was a 3 mana card, not a 4 mana. So you'll basically get that plus 3 attack or 3 armor for 1 mana less. I don't think this is very good hero power. The only way this is going to be good is if you play it with Fandral, which they have told us that it will work with Fandral. So you'll basically play Fandral on like turn 6 and hero power, and then play this on turn 7. And then use your Plague Lord to get a plus 3/+3. I don't know, that seems a little too involved and a little too complicated. I don't know exactly how much this card is going to be played and constructed, mainly because the value is too small or too low for this to be worth it on the initial play, and I think the hero power might be a little too weak. Maybe that 3 attack is going to be useful against like aggro, if it's a big aggro meta, but other than that, I don't see how this card is going to be played. In Arena, I think this card is going to be, decent to above average. Compared to some of the other Death Knights we've seen, this is not quite such a powerful one. But in Arena, I can see you getting some value, especially if you play this on turn 7 on curve, and you're kind of using it to help get rid of some of those, 2 or 3 drops that people have been playing throughout the game, especially since Druids have a bit of a problem in Arena clearing the board. So in Arena, especially with that hero power, I think it's going to be a little better, but I don't think it's going to be great. Uther of the Ebon Blade. This is the Death Knight for the Paladin. It's a 9 mana cost battlecry, equip a 5/3 lifesteal weapon. So it's basically Ashbringer with lifesteal, which is a very good weapon. Helps keep you alive while you're trading with the enemy minions. Helps keep you alive when you're hitting face. Keeps you alive versus those aggro-y decks, although if you're playing against an aggro deck, you're kind of screwed by turn 9 unless you've really been able to control the board and control the game. And the hero power for this is the 4 Horsemen. This is a new kind of mechanic we're seeing being introduced. Summon a 2/2 Horseman. If you have all 4, destroy the enemy hero. So this kind of just confirms what I was talking about. You really want to play Uther of the Ebon Blade in a very control-y type paladin deck that heals itself, that tries to keep minions alive, and when you play this and you start using your hero power, you're gonna want to protect that, each horseman that comes out. So this is where Divine Shield comes into play. You want to play that Divine Shield on these horsemen, keep giving them Divine Shields, buff them up so they don't die, hide them behind taunts, do whatever you can to keep these horsemen alive. Because once you get all 4 on board, you win the game. So the idea behind playing this deck is you really want to control the board, keep removing enemy minions, keep preventing enemy minion or an enemy board from being developed, and when you play all 4 horsemen, you win the game. So that's how that card works. That's how I think it's going to be played, is again in like a super controlling kind of control the enemy board, remove what you can, reduce the attack, transform them, do whatever you can to keep your horsemen alive. All right, so that's the end of this. That's the end of this group of cards. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.